Would you like to accelerate your career and reach your full potential in just minutes a day? Welcome to the LEADx Show with New York Times best-selling author and Inc. 500 entrepreneur, Kevin Kruse.
How do you keep track of all your delegated tasks? Is it possible for an employee to keep their boss engaged? Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Kruse. Welcome to the LEADx Show, the smartest way to start your day. Today is the weekly wrap-up where we broadcast live via video on Facebook. We get to take our time. We get to rant. We answer your questions. And today I'm joined by LEADx editor, Tara Millette. Hello, Tara.
Hello, Kevin. Good to be here.
A second hello, because I greeted you with our Facebook Live audience just minutes ago.
Sure did, but now it's the real deal.
So what's going on in your world? You've lately been telling us about giant slices of pizza, not getting deported. What else is going on?
Good things. Actually, I've made some progress on the pizza front. For anyone who's keeping track of my health woes, I've been definitely doing better these days. And I have to say, my boyfriend and I, we're relatively healthy eaters. And I know, Kevin, you are too. You're kind of partly vegan, vegetarian. You try, and we all try, right? And so do we. And I was thinking to myself not too long ago, I was like, we buy healthy food, but we still aren't kind of losing weight and feeling as trim as we would like. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what it is? We kept buying healthy food that was that kind of fake healthy food. And so what I did is I eliminated two of our favorite healthy, quote unquote, snacks, and we feel so much better.
And what are they?
I know it might shock some people. It shocked me, but popcorn and peanut butter. And they're not unhealthy things. Natural, just salt popcorn is not going to hurt you, but it's got fiber and stuff. It's not that bad, but it makes you retain water. It's a lot of sodium. And then peanut butter, I mean, we would put it on rice cakes as like a treat.
A healthy treat.
A healthy treat, right? A little bit of peanut butter, a little rice cake, no harm. I mean, I did the math. We must have been putting at least 2 tablespoons on. And as most of you know, that's about 400 calories. So,
but isn't that scary? I think most people don't know, right? And
scary. That's what's shocking.
I forget, because you think it's a peanut and it's got protein. So if you're trying to not eat a lot of meat, you want your protein up.
Exactly.
And the problem is, especially if you're buying like Jif or whatever, first of all, there's so much sugar.
So much.
And the calories, but even the healthy non-added sugar stuff it's got so much fat and stuff. I mean, it is a lot of calories. It's
great if you're an athlete, if you're someone who's training regularly and you need that extra kind of caloric intake. But when you're couch dwellers like me and Ryan, like your body's like, I don't need this, I'll just store it. And then you're just kind of stuck with it. But it was one of those realizations where I was like, well, geez, of course the scale isn't budging. I keep, thinking I'm eating healthy and I'm not. So we've eliminated those, and we just have hummus and veggies that we chopped up in the fridge, so you don't have to think about it. And I have to say, those 2 simple things of elimination was very helpful.
Well, those are some good health tips. And I like what you just said, like veggies chopped up ahead of time in the fridge, because if you have to put the work in when you're hungry, not going to get done, right?
God, I'm so lazy. But what about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm tired. Like I'm breaking all my own 15 productivity secret rules by not getting enough sleep, and I've cut down on my exercise and all that. So it's been like many days of, 5 hours a night of sleep, and it's starting to catch up to me. But a good week otherwise. I'm going to wrap up today another book chapter. I'll only have one more to go, and that's been just hanging over me. And as you know, like I had a crazy good week, because on Monday I met Alan Alda. Like I went to New York. I talked to him for an hour, including a recorded podcast interview. So it's probably, 4 weeks away from now, it'll get released or something. But like I'm a changed person having met Alan Alda. Like it's crazy. He is a remarkable person. It was just incredible. So, I mean, I can't complain. Some days it's good to be me.
Yeah, I am so jealous. That is such a great thing. I should have probably just stowed myself in your day luggage or something.
Well, maybe. Well, I don't want to jinx it. And probably if anyone from his team like listens or watches, they're going to think I'm becoming like an Alan Alda stalker or creeper or something. It's not like that. But, he launched a new training company this year. And so his last book which is very good, is all about communication and communicating more effectively and how do you build empathy and connect to make your point. And then he launched the training company. So given the years of experience I've had in the training community, they were really interested to ask me questions, pick my brain just about certain connections and associations and all that. So we had a good chat, and I have a feeling this won't be the last Kruse Alda encounter in the future. I think that there could be ways that our two companies might be doing some stuff together and everything down the road. So it's pretty neat.
Watch out, LEADxers. Alan Alda is going to replace me on the Friday wrap-ups coming soon. I have a feeling.
Tara, not that you're not replaceable, but
I would honestly probably scream bloody murder if you were like, no, I'm sticking with that.
You know what was partly why I think I'm like so jazzed about that meeting is, I don't know if you're going to remember this, but like when I interviewed Captain Sully Sullenberger, the guy who landed the plane in the Hudson, Miracle on the Hudson, I did all this prep work and I was all excited about it and I did all this stuff and it was like a disaster. Like, it was a short interview. It didn't go the way I thought. I didn't feel like I didn't have a bonding moment with Captain Sully. And so I think this was like the next big, like, how the heck did I get this interview and I better not blow it kind of thing. And it just went really well. I mean, nicest guy in the world. Like, whereas Sully wanted like less time on the interview, Alan Alda was like hanging around. I mean, it was just really a neat experience. And so it talked me off that ledge. Like, okay, I can talk to important people on the LEADx show. It'll go okay.
It's so funny. I think it's probably really interesting for our viewers and listeners to know that, sometimes you feel like interviews don't go well because as a listener, you probably don't hear that. I know I never do. You say stuff like, oh, I don't feel like I did very well. And then I listen to it. I'm like, it sounds great. It sounds like they really had a great back and forth. So it might be in your head.
Glad you have low standards, Sarah. Like that. Makes me feel good.
Aww.
So anyway, hey, I know that we've got, this is the Q&A show, but it's also what we like to call Fan Mail Friday, even though live it's Thursday. So did we get any email we want to share before we go to questions?
We sure did. Let's kind of soothe our egos a little bit here with this note from Natalie Van Dort. And she says, I signed up to your daily emails a few months ago and love the bite-sized inspiration you provide. I have a few of your quotes on a Post-it note on the side of my screen to remind myself from time to time. And this week I asked on my personal Facebook page to describe me in 3 words as per one of your snippets. And it was indeed interesting to read. I just wanted to thank you for your continued inspiration and reminding me I am not alone in any of this. Many thanks, Natalie. So beautiful.
Very nice. Very nice.
And I like the Post-it note idea. I see that sometimes, but I think I should try it.
I know. I have more Post-it notes than I should admit to right now, but yeah, I like that a lot. And thanks, Natalie. And it's a good reminder to everybody. Like, we really do read every single email that gets sent to us, and we try to read on the air as many as we can. So, we're all about that family connection. So don't be shy. Send us some emails. And people who email compliments, often I'll be like, okay, but what's one thing that we could be doing better? So often I zing them back and insist on some constructive feedback. So we like that too.
Absolutely. And just for anyone who's curious, the Facebook snippet that Natalie's talking about, I think is from the Dory Clark interview on unique branding and finding your brand. So if anyone wants to try what Natalie did, feel free to check out the Dory Clark interview. But awesome. And I guess now we're moving on to the review of the week on iTunes.
All right.
Let's do it. This one's from Stacy H331, which almost looks like Stacy He, but not quite. She says, great leadership advice. I love this podcast. As a new leader, I'm able to learn from each episode and make improvements to my skill set. It is easy to follow with meaningful content. Stacy, thank you so much for writing that review. And if you're listening, please send us your shipping address to info@leadx.org and we'll send you some super cool swag as a thanks. And for anyone listening out there reviewing, your review can be as short and sweet and great as Stacy's. No need to go long. I know I tend to pick the long ones.
No, I was going to say, this is a good one to pluck because it shows that we love the 1 or 2 or 3 sentence reviews just as much.
I gave the wrong impression. I kept reading the long ones, but we're happy.
We love getting all that praise. We like the long ones.
That's the thing. I like when people go into detail and tell us their journey, but obviously don't feel like you have to do that. Take 2 seconds, go over to the iTunes, subscribe, and leave a quick review. It does a great favor to us.
I also just want to remind everyone, if they go to leadx.org, O-R-G, click the little events menu item on the top, you're going to see all the upcoming webinars. We've been doing a whole bunch of free training via webinar and free video courses, productivity topics, communication skills, leadership. So check it out. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Absolutely. And I've been going on an online course binge lately, and it's just making me more and more excited about what we have coming down the pipeline, because we've got a lot of great stuff coming. So definitely check that out. All right. Are we ready for questions already? I guess, wow, we're speeding through, huh?
Yeah, this is, we're moving fast. I think that's a good thing on this episode. We're going to keep this one humming.
Yeah. And if anyone out there wants to, on Facebook Live video, feel free to type in comments or questions right now. And if we have the time, we'll go ahead and tackle some of those a little later. Okay. Question 1. This one's on productivity, and it's from Josh. He says, I'm still struggling with delegating tasks. Other than using a few pages in my notebook, there doesn't seem to be an as fluid way to do it. A lot of tasks are delegated via meetings, email, or side chatter. Having to always go back to one source and write it all down or save every email into a follow-up box is just not working. Any tips? Are there any books, blogs, or places that you recommend that would fuse tracking delegated tasks with the same personal task management process that you outlined in your book? Quite a challenging question.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think that because the advice I give in my book is actually not to have a to-do list, put everything on your calendar, I do get asked a form of this question of, well, what about other people's tasks or to-do lists? Like when you lead a team, how do you where do you track whether they've actually done it or not? And Josh, I think there's no perfect answer. Like I always like to carry a notebook, and if you can just jot, underneath something, maybe it's a page for every person's name that reports to you, and that's at the front of the book, and you just keep adding little bullets and then cross them off when they're done. I mean, that might be the most effective way. I've used different methods over time. Right now, our company runs on software called Basecamp. That's sort of our communication and project management platform. So I will message, they call them pings in Basecamp, but I'll message Tara something, and because I'm kind of amped up like this, I'll put like in all caps, to do : so she knows like, okay, this is the actual thing that needs to get done, and Kevin's tracking it. And for most items, I mean, if it's really important and I want to follow up on it, there will be a separate document where I keep track of to-dos that go to, various people. But before Basecamp, I just used to have an Excel spreadsheet that was like team dashboard or something. Every team member that reported to me was on a different tab. And part of this is I do weekly one-on-ones. So if Tara and I were going to have a one-on-one on Monday, I would just have this Excel spreadsheet open in front of me. I'm on the Tara tab, and I would just see all the things that are kind of on her plate. And, my own style is always, I'm kind of revealing my secrets now to Tara and the other team members. My own style is usually like, what's going on, what's on your mind, and they say whatever's on their mind, and I'm looking and I'm kind of tracking, did they talk about all the things that are on the list? And then when they're done, I then say, okay, sounds great. And the things I have, and I talk about the other things to get an update on the list. So I've used Basecamp, I've used Excel, I have used just a notebook. And then there was a time, I don't know why I didn't stick with it, but I just use my phone. There's Notepad on the smartphone. And similarly, I would just have each employee's name and some bullets beneath it. And that way, if I'm walking by someone in the hallway or I shoot them an email, I would just basically type a note about that to-do item under their name in Notepad. And then whenever I want to follow up, planned or unplanned, I would open that up and just, look at that document. So there is some friction, in any of those methods. I don't know that any of those digital methods are better than the notebook method. But I think the important thing is, yes, you want to put them somewhere and put them all together in one place. Any new ideas, Tara, that you would have for tracking tasks?
No, I think you're kind of right on the money with that. I also think, you could stand to not overthink it too much. There's great apps out there. I mean, I know Evernote has great templates. There's lots of apps. But if you want to keep it simple, you can do something like a Google Drive document where you have a little spreadsheet and you invite everyone, so everyone has access. You can color code it. Hey, when it's yellow, it's done. When it's green, it means it's got to get done now. When it's red, that means it's urgent. Little things like that can actually, and then something like that people can edit and change. Then you don't have to necessarily worry about it as much. And they
Great
also
idea,
have
the shared document, because then you can just say, hey, I'm a day behind schedule because I'm waiting for whatever, and you wouldn't even need the conversation. Everybody would know the status then.
Exactly. And if you ever need to check, you go in, they wrote a comment. Oh, this is delayed by 1 day for this reason. Cool. All right. They're on it. And that's all you really need. I think sometimes there's a tendency to look for these big new apps and these big new, we have Basecamp and we love it. It's worked really well for us. But if you already have internal systems and you really don't want to try to add more to complicate things, then something like a Google Doc that you can share is probably a pretty fair choice. But yeah, I think that's awesome. All right, are we ready for question number 2?
Yeah.
This is from Judy. So she says, I work for an insurance property restoration company. It's a fast-paced environment, but I love the work. The industry's been moving rather quickly the past couple of years, and I feel like we're falling slowly behind. We have 4 teams within the company, and most of the managers, including me, are very new. My boss, who are my parents, are very committed and care for their employees more than anyone I know, but I feel like they're getting burnt out. It's hard to talk about fine-tuning the machine they've created. We often find ourselves frustrated because of the lack of training and systems that would help us work together. I feel this would fall on the owner of the company to implement and lead, yet they have a go and get it done attitude and a lack of vision or direction. We've had a lot of turnover because of this. How can someone help their boss become more engaged?
Tough question with a tough answer. Like, I don't think we can make anybody get engaged. But before I get to that point, employee engagement, our emotional connection to our company and its goals, it's driven, they say about 70%, Gallup research, by who our boss is. So it is true, like if the owners, if the senior leadership is not engaged in their own business anymore, it's really, really tough for the people who report to them to feel engaged themselves. And when engagement goes down, then that's when we start looking for other jobs and we go out the door. So it's a good thing to be concerned about. And it's very difficult to get people above us, quote unquote, in the traditional org chart engaged. Again, reminder that the 3 big things that drive engagement are growth, recognition, and trust. And so if your parents, the boss of the organization, were to get engaged, somehow the business has to make them feel or support their feelings that they're growing and learning. The business has to make them feel that they're getting appreciated for what they're doing. They would need to feel that the business has a bright future, which is motivating to them. And in one last sort of negative note, it just might be that business, their business, can't do that for them anymore. I mean, if someone said, Kevin, I want you to go take up golf, how do we make Kevin engaged by golf? I don't golf. I've never been interested in golf. And so would I feel connected to growing as a golfer? Would I feel good if someone said, hey, good tee shot, Kevin? Is that what they even say? No. Shot off the tee. Good. Your 9-iron's looking good, Kevin.
It's much better than your B shot or your L shot.
Anyway, so, it's just, you can't force it. You can't force it. Now, what I would say is that it's unusual to hear that a business owner, a business leader would not be engaged by their own company. I mean, the thing that they built, the thing that they created, the thing that's paying them. So I would wonder, when did it go wrong? When did they become burnt out? When did they get tired? When did they think the future was not going to be brighter? I mean, I'm not sure, but at some point it seems like something went wrong. And so, Judy, I would say that if you wanted to try to explore that with them, I mean, what is the long-term plans for the business? Maybe they want to grow the business or make sure it's healthy so they can sell it and make a lot of money. Maybe they want it to grow and be healthy so that you can inherit it or something. So I think I would start there. We need to know what the future vision is and why isn't that motivating to them? Can you talk to them about the possibilities in the future? So maybe if they know that you're future focused, you're future oriented, that might rekindle some of their passion. But the most we can do for our team members, for our bosses, for our family members, we can't make someone engaged or motivated. We can contribute to an environment that would help them to find it again, themselves. But I would just encourage you to explore those issues around, what are their plans for the business and why isn't that exciting them? And if it is, okay, well then how can they feel like they're learning again or that they're getting recognition? And, maybe there's a way to rekindle it.
I think that's great, Kevin. I never thought of, because I think what you said is so true. It's getting to the root of the problem as opposed to trying to put a Band-Aid on the symptoms, right? So they're not feeling engaged, and that's probably because they're not seeing an exciting future. And that probably would help them kind of start feeling a bit more involved and a bit more hopeful. And I think that's so great, because my first instinct with an issue like this about trying to get your boss engaged is that I would want to try to bring them ideas, right? I would try to be like, hey, I noticed this issue. What about this, this, and this? And I've done that a few times, and it hasn't always worked in my favor, okay? And that's because it looks like I'm trying to step on their toes when my intention was to say, hey, I thought about this. Here are some solutions. What do you think? But of course, that doesn't always come across all that great. So, but this is family too. So maybe they would be more open to you saying, because there's an advantage and a disadvantage with working with family. Right. You could say that you're more able to give them constructive criticism because they're obviously going to forgive you and know that your intentions are very good. But then again, we tend to be the most defensive when our family criticizes us because we care for them. So it's kind of a tough road to go through. But I think Kevin's idea of just getting to the root of it, of why they're not feeling excited, I think that's totally bang on. Absolutely.
And, Tara, I wanted to, this isn't directly related to the question, but your answer and your idea of going in with ideas made me remember this. For all of the managers out there, for all the leaders out there, there was a time when my team members, when my employees would come to me, complaining about everything that was wrong, usually without a suggestion on how to make it right. It used to really bother me, and I would get mad, and I would think they're just being negative, Debbie Downers, David Downers, whatever the phrase is. And I can remember it was after I had sold my first business. So my new boss, the CEO, Rudy Carson, who's sort of a mentor, I had a talented employee, but he just kept coming through my door with all these problems. And I asked Rudy, I guess I was complaining. I went through Rudy's door to complain. And Rudy surprised me. He said, I'm like, he came in and complained about this. And Rudy's like, that's great. I'm like, and then he complained about this. He's like, that's even better. He just thought it was awesome. And what he said is that, signs of complaints or coming to the boss with ideas on how things could be better or whatever, these are all signs of engagement. These are signs that you care. You need to worry about your employees, when they stop complaining, when they stop coming up with ideas on how to make things better. Because, that's when people basically stop caring, And so, look, if I don't care about this place, it's not worth coming to you with an idea. It's not coming to you with a problem that I'd like to see solved. And that did change my mindset. And of course, later as I was doing research for the books, it's the same approach in our personal relationships. They say it's it's the couples, that are fighting and everything. Fighting doesn't predict breakups, because that still shows they care. They're angry, they're hurt, or whatever, but they care. It's the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is silence. And so when I just don't care about the relationship anymore, I'm not even going to bring things up to you. So whether at work or at home, we need to think of complaints and problems as gifts. It shows people care and are looking to, make things even better. As a stressed out boss, Tara, I'm not saying I'm going to smile every time you come with a new idea, but I do want to encourage it. I do like it.
Well, also, I think it's such a great sign if someone's coming to their boss, and even if they're just complaining and not offering solutions, it at least shows that they trust their boss enough that they feel safe to go in and complain directly to their employer. Like, that's not easy for everyone. Not everyone can say they can do that, right? So that's also a pretty good sign. It means, hey, all right, this person trusts me enough at least to not just fire them on the spot.
Right, exactly.
For complaining. So that's pretty great.
That's right.
Are there any Facebook questions that we got?
No, we don't have any Facebook questions. I checked in with our Facebook Live audience. We do have viewers all the way in the West in Menifee, California, and all the way to the East in Scotland.
Wow. Which far and wide.
Far and wide. And I don't it's horrible, but the reason why Scotland's been on all of our mind lately is because season 3 of Outlander just came back on TV. So it's horrible that the Americans are thinking of Scotland just because some TV show,
My parents, I think, are actually in Scotland now, believe it or not.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, because on my mom's side, we're Scottish and Irish. I don't know if anyone could tell from my hair, which is rad for anyone listening. And
podcast listeners, you have to go on our Facebook page now so that you can actually see Kara.
It's pretty obnoxiously red, but they're out there now and they're just having the best time. It's beautiful. So hello to anyone watching from Scotland. Nice to have you. Say hi to my parents if you see them.
Yeah, that's right. Say hi to the parents. So what do we have coming up next week?
We've got some really cool stuff. We have Andre Durand. He's the secret behind $600 million Ping identity. And he's the co-founder and CEO of that. And that's going to be pretty impressive, to say the least, with $600 million on the line there. We have John Acuff, a fellow New York Times bestseller. And he's going to teach us how to finish what we start, which is something I'm super excited about because that's something I'm not great at when it comes to my side projects.
For people who haven't heard of John Acuff, I mean, he's pretty big, like a pretty big following and everything. Mm-hmm. We talk about his book and how to finish the stuff you started, but we end up talking about like how to be funnier because he's known for that. He's whether you follow him on Instagram or you read his books. And I told him I'm jealous because like reading his books, like there's a joke or not like a regular joke, but there's something that's going to make you chuckle like in almost every paragraph. So like I read John Acuff and then I'm like, man, I am such a horrible writer. Like, he just makes me feel badly about myself. But he gives some suggestions about like some of his favorite comics to watch, whether it's on Netflix or YouTube or whatever. So that's a real fun episode.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. His book sounds really awesome. I'm gonna have to steal it from you. And then we have Jennifer Q, CEO of Jones Soda Company, which is, I'm not kidding, one of my and my boyfriend's favorite sodas. And she talks about how she turned that company around and made it kind of the niche, craft soda almost company that it is now, and really made it super profitable. So I'm really excited about that too.
And we're going to have to remind everyone who didn't watch listen to last week's Wrapup show that no, we are not getting cases of free soda, even though we're open to it.
we should wink and nudge to Jennifer again, and
that's right.
Maybe we'll release your episode a little early if we get a little incentive here, Jennifer. And
exactly, you have to name drop your favorite flavors or something and see if they miraculously show up.
The diet cream soda is pretty sweet. I'm just saying. Yeah, I was locked and loaded with that one. I was ready for it.
You were ready for it. So I think we're good. But before we wrap up, I want to remind everybody on Facebook to go to leadx.org/subscribe. If you want to subscribe and leave a quick rating for the LEADx show on iTunes, go to leadx.org/ask-Kevin to submit your question so that we can answer it on an upcoming show. And this, I think this concludes it for this week's episode.
And look at that. We didn't drag on for an hour. Yay, we're getting better at this.
My final reminder, until next time, remember, your family, your team at work, your community, we all need you to be a leader who leads with intent. How will you lead today?